In the year 2000, the NFL draft class had tons of potential. Among the quarterback class was a man by the name of Tom Brady. But Tom Brady wasn't yet an internationally known name. In fact, most people didn't even have Brady on their radars. He wasn't chosen until the 6th round of the NFL draft, with the 199th pick to the New England Patriots. But growing up in California, all Tom ever wanted was to play for the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers didn't even have Tom in their sights. Giovanni Carmazzi was their golden goose. He was chosen 3 rounds before Brady, and by every standard, he completely fit the bill. I mean, he was fast, he had a strong arm. On paper, he pretty much was the prototype. Like, if there was ever a Barbie doll for NFL quarterbacks, it probably would have been Carmazzi. But he also had big shoes to fill, because he was the likely successor to the Hall of Famer Steve Young. On the first drive of their preseason game, he was sacked twice in a row. Coaches said doubt began to creep in and began to lose confidence in himself. And after preseason, he never once saw the field in a regular season game. He lost sight of his identity, and he lacked that instinct or that drive that it really took to pick himself up, dust himself off, and get back in the game. He crumbled under the pressure of the stadium lights. On the other side of the field, because, of course, as fate would have it, the San Francisco 49ers ended up playing the Patriots that preseason game, Tom Brady's instinct and drive shot him to the stratosphere of not only NFL royalty, but an internationally known icon, all from being the 4th-string quarterback in college. It was just simply in his essence. Your essence is your uncoachable fire, the thing that was there before the roles, the wounds, or the world told you how to behave. In other words, your essence is that very thing that makes you, you. And that contrast, that difference between what's taught and what's true, is what today's episode is all about. Essence over execution. I'm Tajane, and welcome to Halftime Girl. I want to first off just acknowledge all of the support and the people who have reached out to me after Halftime Girl launched last week. The amount of people who have told me that the episode got them to really start thinking about the last time they actually put themselves first was kind of insane, because it's just, crazy. We all really go through similar journeys and just choose not to discuss it. On the other hand, I've had people reach out to tell me all the things they think I'm doing wrong or should change in order to appeal to the masses. And that's how I know I made the right choice in creating this platform, creating this space where people can feel seen, heard, and not alone. So it was just nice to know that you're not alone. During the process of building this podcast, I learned something. It isn't meant to appeal to everyone. It's meant to mean something to the people who need it the most. Because it won't be for everyone. But if it's for you, you'll feel it. Like I briefly mentioned in episode 1, I've been toying around with the idea of this podcast for a long time now. We've become so desensitized to the world around us that we sometimes sometimes forget to just stop and look with humanity. And that's part of the reason I finally pressed record. After Kyron Lacey's death and the accident that happened last December, I kept thinking, we spend so much of our life performing roles, but none of us knows how much time we actually have to be who we are. And this podcast is my way of saying, don't wait. Start living from your core now. And, at the end of the day, this is a 24-year-old Black man on the verge of living out his biggest dream. And one poor decision changed everything. And now 2 parents lost their son, and teammates lost a brother, and he lost himself. We owe it to each other to have conversations that go deeper, that check in on each other's mental. And that's what this space is for. So Yeah, this is a work in progress. It's going to be raw. It's going to be sometimes, a little messy, but it'll always be honest. So, again, this podcast may not be for everyone, and that's okay. But if it's for you, you'll feel it. Now, let's get started. I remember when I was, gosh, I don't know, 21, 22 years old. I worked at Barnes& and Noble for a few years. I worked a couple of different roles there, but when I first started out, I was on the cash register. And I'd meet all kinds of people, but there was always just something about me where people would somehow seem to just gravitate towards me. I could hold a conversation and make friends with random customers, to the point where my coworkers would actually come and ask me where I knew them from. Honestly, it still happens to this day. There was this one time, this lady came up to me to the register with her purchase, and I complimented her sweater. And I mean, it was gorgeous. It was like a knitted white fishnet style. She had on a flower crown. Literally looked like she could have probably been going to like Coachella or something. And I made some kind of joke and we laughed. And I complimented her again when she was just like, oh, well, I could always just give it to you. And I joked back, yeah, you sure could. I need a new sweater and some gummy bears. Yeah, I don't know. We talked about our mutual love of gummy bears. I don't know. I was 21, 22. I don't really remember. You know, I had, I loved gummy bears, but whatever. So, we laughed. She paid for her purchase and she left the store. Fast forward a few hours later, and in walks the same lady, only this time she's wearing a white tank top. So she walked up to me, and in her hands, I see the folded sweater with a pack of gummy bears on top. And my jaw dropped. I tried to insist, I couldn't accept it. I was just joking, and she really didn't have to do that. But she just thanked me for making her day and said that I deserved it. When she walked away, everybody asked me how long I'd known her. I told them I had literally never seen her before that day. It was just my essence that made her connect to me in such a way. As women, we can get so caught up in doing the right thing, being the perfect partner, employee, daughter, friend, that we sometimes forget who we are without the roles. We forget about that essence inside of us, that part inside that can't be faked, copied, or coached. That one core truth underneath all the detours, the disappointments, and doubts, or as I like to call them, the 3 Ds of despair. Most of us are taught at a young age how to show up for others before we ever even learn how to show up for ourselves. For every role, whether, again, it's daughter, sister, coworker, friend, student, there are all these expectations, both spoken and not, but how you should move, speak, serve, succeed, and sacrifice. And you do it, and you play your role, and you get really good at playing your position, but you start losing your personhood. You say yes, right? Just to keep the peace, to meet needs, to stay valuable. But over time, what happens? Your own needs get put on the back burner. Your voice gets quieter, muffled, and you forget what lights you up. And somewhere along the line, we kind of confuse performance with presence. We start believing that we are only as worthy as we are useful. But essence doesn't need to prove anything. It just is. It's that spark in your laugh before you were told to quiet down. It's the way you move towards people before the world taught you to keep your distance. It's what was there before the mask and what's still there underneath them all. And if you've been out of touch with it, that doesn't mean it's gone. It just means it's waiting for you to come home. So I want you to think of a time, even just for a moment, where you felt most yourself. And I don't mean the version of you that someone praised and not the version of you that looks good on paper, just you yourself. What were you doing? Who were you with? Or were you alone? What part of you felt free? That right there, that's your essence. Write it down, record it, revisit it. As I've mentioned, I'm a pretty big journal person. I don't know. I love writing my thoughts out on a paper. Seeing it out makes it feel more real. So make a list of 5 things that feel like you before the world got to you. And you feel free to pause at any point if you need to. I'm going to put some visuals up on the social medias as well. If you want to come back to these questions, sometimes, hearing it goes a lot faster. So I'm going to also put up some visual prompts, but, you know, make a list of these 5 things. What makes you laugh from your gut? What were you drawn to as a kid? What lights you up even when no one's watching? What do people say is so you? And what kind of energy do you bring into a room without even trying? So again, what makes you laugh from your gut? I mean, like them full on laughs where you fall out laughing with your best friend for over something that probably wasn't funny, but you're sitting there laughing for 5-10 minutes. What were you drawn to as a kid? What lights you up even when no one's watching? What do people say is so you? And what kind of energy do you bring into a room without even trying? And this is not about becoming someone new. This is about returning to who you are and starting to play from your core. And there's more than one way to return. You can open up your voice notes and finish this sentence out loud. No filter, just pure feeling. Start the sentence, I was most me when, and put that in your voice notes. Sometimes, speaking out loud kind of taps into parts of ourselves that writing sometimes edits a little too quickly. You know what I mean? So the next time you feel like you're shrinking into a role, you're trying to make yourself fit into a role, just stop, breathe, and ask yourself, am I playing from the script or am I playing from my core? You don't have to earn your way back to yourself. You don't have to prove you belong here. You already do. Your essence has been here all along, just waiting for you to remember. And when you play from your core, that's when everything changes. Because essence, not perfection, not pedigree, is what carries you forward. It's what took a 6th round draft pick and turned him into a legend. And is what will carry you through the halftime moments, the times when you need to reset and show up fully. So choose you every time and play from your core every time. Next time on Halftime Girl, we're going even deeper because knowing your essence is just a stepping stone. What about all the ways you've been taught to cover it up? We'll talk more about the roles we play to fit in, the little girl inside who learned to silence herself, and what it really means to stop performing for acceptance. So join me as we start shedding these old roles and start making space for who we've been all along. All the socials are listed, so make sure you subscribe to the Spotify, the Apple Podcasts, the Beehive Halftime Huddle sign-up list. I've had a couple people reach out and say, oh, well, I didn't get the link, or, well, how do all these people know about it before I do? Well, if you follow and sign up on the Beehive email sign-up, you won't miss things. And sometimes you get some little extra bonus things before other people do, and, it's a bigger bang for your not buck because I'm just dropping knowledge, but if you want to get the knowledge a little faster, the email sign up is definitely the way to go about it. So yeah, like I said, just make sure you sign up, subscribe, follow, keep listening out. And to whoever you think could use this message today, send it to them because you never know who will be sitting at halftime alongside you. Till next time, Halftime Girl out.